Today, for the first time, we are hearing directly from Minnesota Senator John Hoffman about the shooting that rocked Minnesota. Senator Hoffman fell asleep watching TV on June 13th last year. Hours later, in the early morning of June 14th, a man dressed as a police officer banged on his door. When he opened it, that man began shooting him. It was the beginning of the most horrific night of political violence this state has ever seen. And until today, Senator Hoffman was not ready to tell his story. Here's Jana Shortle.
644, code 3 in Champlin.
You want to go back to June of last year?
Yeah, we can. I was just sitting there in my green chair and I fell asleep like you do when you're, and Yvette, she went upstairs and, she was upstairs sleeping. I was in my green chair and at 2 a.m. I was like, bam, 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 bam. I hear this pounding and I could see red and blue lights outside my window and, open up, it's the police. And I'm like, what the hell? And I, dummy me, I opened the door, flashlight in my eye, and starts quizzing me on who's in the house. And I could see the car with the lights, but he had a very heavy flashlight in my eyes. He finally, after he was pointing the gun to my daughter, I looked and I could see the mask and I said, "You're not a cop." And I slammed the door on him. First bullet, then he started shooting, and all I heard was pop, 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 pop. And then time slowed down, Jana. One bullet I saw come through the door actually hit me here. This one was 2 millimeters from my heart. Then this one was also close. This one's still inside me, but this one went down and out my flank. I'm looking in disbelief, like, what's going on? I then fell down after, 9 bullets. I 10 if you count this one, as I was falling backwards. And then Yvette went over on top of me and she starts pushing on the guy. And, she shot twice here and 6 times here, but she got the door shut. And then last thing I remember was the nurse, the ER nurse, when I said, "Take us to Mercy," and her face got right in front of my face, and she said, "We got you, Johnny."
Senator Hoffman then woke up days later, foggy, but he knew he had been shot and that he was still alive. He was told his friends, Mark and Melissa Hortman, who he had dinner with just hours before the shootings, were dead. Then he was told who is accused of trying to kill him.
Do you think about Vance Belter?
No, I don't say his name. He doesn't deserve to have a name, because that person almost killed my wife and my daughter and me, and he killed 2 dear friends of mine.
Senator Hoffman hasn't lived a minute since June 14th without thinking of the Hortmans, especially Melissa.
Melissa, who, as she was arguing with me about one thing, she said, "I'm kind of like that little kid sister that you can't get rid of, She was my little kid political sister. But boy, what a fierce advocate. Absolutely a fierce advocate. That's the thing we can't forget.
Part of Senator Hoffman's vow to not forget is to stay in office and run for office again. And he's mindful that he's doing so in the here and now of Minnesota, where once again a shooting has drawn the nation's eyes to our state.
The young woman who was shot in Minneapolis, the sound of that gun was a 9mm sound, the same sound that I heard. That all has a triggering effect. In this world of healing, I'm supposed to be healing and recovering, and I'm recovering. And recovering isn't a linear thing, Jana. It's moment by moment. You have your good days, you have your great days, you have your not so good days, right?
Doesn't it ever get to be too much?
Oh, absolutely. And then I'm at a crossroad. Do I withdraw or do I keep engaged?
Purpose becomes clearer.
100%. It's not about me. It's about what we do collectively. Does that make sense?
Senator Hoffman obviously will never be the same. In addition to the trauma psychologically, he physically tires easily and has issues with his left hand and arm because some of the bullets went through his biceps and triceps.